born and raised Brooklyn, New York, by way of Bed-Stuy. Youngest of 4. My brother Calvin, sister Nikki, my sister Sydney.
Right.
Grew up in a 2-parent household. They separated when I was in 4th grade. My pops moved like 8 blocks away.
Wow.
Really 6 blocks away, so he was still around. I saw my dad every day. I was also raised by grandmothers that I used to always find myself at their house in the afternoons or on the weekends. Started playing ball when I was like 6 years old. Mo Better Jaguars. Shout out to Coach Nooks, 9U, and my boy Wayne. Just won a national championship.
Oh, so, definitely shout out.
So, coming from Brooklyn,
know,
no one respects our game.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Coach, what? And no disrespect to Brooklyn or New York with football, because I know the whole state's a huge state, so I know football is great, But just with the borough of football in Brooklyn, how does that look like?
There's a lot of schools, a lot of kids, very spread out.
Okay.
In comparison to a lot of different places that I've recruited or I've been to, down south and other places in little rural areas.
Right.
And this one school has all the kids in the town, and all those kids have been playing together since they were little. But in New York, someone here play for Mo Better, someone here play for the Pitbulls, someone here play for the Skyhawks, someone play here.
Okay.
And then we end up going to different high schools. There's so many high schools in New York.
Yeah, it is.
So it's like, it's so spread out.
Right.
But, biasly, I'm going to say it, Brooklyn clearly has the best football in New York City.
Okay.
But I will say after that, Staten Island definitely is right there because they have Tottenville and Curtis were really good schools. And when I was coming up, Port Richmond was good too. And then the Bronx, with JFK, they got good ball.
Okay.
So, my thing is, I always wanted to make sure I show love to New York when it came to football.
Right.
Because we do have guys. We have guys that came out. There was a guy like I looked up to named Dominic Easley. He played ball at University of Florida.
Okay.
University of Florida was University of Florida.
Yeah.
And he was actually, I think he was the MVP of the All-American game, unarmed All-American game. A kid from New York City.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just don't think, you don't think of that. And then
exactly.
ever since then, we had a bunch of guys that went on and played big-time ball and stuff like that. Like New York City football is like, it's an up and up, but you already know we known for hooping.
Exactly.
I wasn't the greatest hooper, but I got a shot, and I was athletic. You know what I mean? So I had a little shot. You know what I mean? I can do a little something, but I was never going to make the ball team back home. Those dudes too good. So that's why I stuck to football. My first love was basketball, like most kids in New York.
Exactly.
Then I was like, no, too physical, too rough. Go play some ball, and that's when I started playing ball with Mo Better Jaguars.
Yeah.
And then after that, my dad. Or coaches from Mo Better, they ended up starting an organization, Brooklyn Pitbulls, back in 2004. And I went over transitioned to them. And football's been my life ever since then. Went to high school, ended up going to Boys and Girls High School.
Yeah.
Boys and Girls High School is a world-renowned high school. Like it's like literally the heart and soul of Bed-Stuy. Big for like a lot of different movements back in the day, definitely during the Civil Rights Movement, definitely on that Fulton Street line, that Fulton Street right there. Like between that and then like even Nelson Mandela, when he first got out, when he got out of jail, one of the first places he came to was my high school, Spoke. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's a lot of culture there. I saw people that looked like me growing up. Still, when you're in football, you meet all types of people. So then that's where the whole meshing thing comes into play. Trying to like mesh my upbringing with someone else's upbringing, and then that's the beauty of the game too. You really meet a lot of different people. Football in high school started off freshman year.
Okay. Wide receiver?
Nah, man. I was a little 5'8", 180-pound.
5'8"?
Yeah, chubby little.
Oh, you were like 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, man. I had a crazy growth spurt my sophomore year. I went from like 5'8" to like 6'2". So at high school, I graduated in 2011. Then I went to Long Island University. I went out there for a semester.
Okay.
Culture shock. It's a lot.
Right.
So I signed to LIU, and then after I signed,
right,
I got a bunch of calls after that from black colleges and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I really, when Virginia Union came around, it was right after I signed.
Wow.
So I was like, dang, I could have gone to Union.
You could have went to Union.
Yeah.
Right.
But lo and behold, I ended up reaching back out to the coach that came and recruited me at the time. And
right.
So spring of 2012, I went to Union. Met one of my close friends, my boy Joe. I'm just walking through the student center, and I got my Brooklyn All-Star hoodie on. And he's like, "Yo, you from Brooklyn?" I'm like, "Yeah." you from Brooklyn? He's like, yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'm from the Sty. He from the Floss. He out there in Canarsie.
Okay.
So we just, I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes. You just get real tight off of that stuff.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
and then
definitely.
we were just boys ever since. Like, it was a crew of us too. It was like 5 of us. And we used to turn up. It was crazy. I was huge. I was like 6'3", about 265, coming in, no neck, benching, squatting. Everything was over 400. It was fun being that strong. I ain't gonna lie. I kind of miss it sometimes, but now it's more about functional strength.
Exactly,
Yeah,
right.
I just need to be prepared for anything crazy that happens. I don't like the last 3 minutes. 3 minutes plus, I'm like, I'm good.
Definitely.
So that was that, and I started playing. So actually, when I got to Union, I wasn't just given equipment. I wasn't just given, the ability to just practice and just make the roster. Like,
Right.
I was still kind of a walk-on.
Yeah.
So I had to fight to get money. I had to fight to get a helmet, shoulder pads, all that. And that took a little time. But end of the day, I ain't no quitter. So I bet. I remember the first practice I had, my boy Witt, he was a big offensive lineman, guard, man. They used to, Union, anything about Union football, we going to run power.
Exactly.
That's what we going to do.
I formation.
And that ain't never going to change. No matter what coach comes to Union, we got to be in this contract or something. I don't know what it is, but we always going to run power. We going to run. And I remember the first practice I had, my boy Witt was pulling, and I was in a go 6.
Right.
So I was wide, man. I came down. I saw the pulling guard. I came.
Did you go in?
Oh yeah. So
You said you told that story. I was like,
right, and I don't know how to really.
Did you go in?
And I don't want to. This is not how you tackle or you hit people. By the way, I just want to put I did coach. This is not how you do it. However,
right,
head first, I went logo to logo with him, and I knocked his logo off.
Wow. Okay.
But I was just angry because I ain't had no scholarship money. All I had was academic money, and then I just was like, I ain't got nothing to lose. So, and I'm already from New York. Nobody think I could play ball anyway. Right. So I might as well just try and rock out.
And you hungry?
And I'm hungry. So with that, it's crazy how the transfer portal stuff is now. I stayed the whole time, and I didn't play significant snaps until my senior year.
Wow.
I didn't start until my senior year, and that was after my first semester. That's where my whole life just changed. I was telling you, my life was good, and I had my parents, and I never had to worry about anything. And whole time while I'm in Virginia Union, fighting, having fun,
being a student athlete,
just keeping my grades. I had a 3.0, so I did my part.
All right, boss.
Appreciate that, brother. Graduated with 3.3, by the way.
There you
go. I lost my mom. And it just came out of nowhere. I remember it went from Mother's Day came, and I just saw, and she walked in my aunt crib, and my grandma lived too. She walked in and she ain't looked the same, but I ain't think nothing. My mom had this real long, pretty hair.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Jet black, just long, pretty hair. And I saw, she had a wig on. My mom ain't never wear no wig, son. No. You know what I mean? No, she never wore no wig, and then I just, I picked her up to give her a big old hug and stuff, and it was like she was like, "Ow," and I'm like, "Yeah, I ain't thinking nothing of it. I'm young, but something here was just like, yo, something ain't right." So.
Right.
And I remember she gave me some bread to go buy some sneakers and stuff, typical. That's my mom do. I never asked her much, so she always used to try to do her best to do what she can for me. And woke up the next morning, my mom wasn't there. She peeled off. I'm like, yo, my mom's there. So I was like, yo, grandma, where mom's at? And she was like, yeah, she had to go back to New York. And I said, all right. All right, cool. Then I got a call from my pops. He's like, yo, G, need you to come home. I'm like, okay. Me and Sid gonna be on the bus. The whole time my mind's spinning, racing. And I'm like, something ain't feel right. I could not put my finger on it. I'm like, yo, something just don't feel right. It don't feel like I'm gonna get no good news. So we pull up to my crib, 332 McDonough Street, man. That was the spot. That's where all the homies used to come. That's where all my teammates used to come. We used to have our lady friends over there. My mom she was the team mom, GOAT. You know what I'm I'm saying? Release your heart. And I walk up in the crib. We had, you know, in the brownstone, they got these sliding doors that open up like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was like some craziness out of a movie. You just walk in and you just feel it. You just feel the energy just drop. And I walk in, I see my mom's hooked up to a machine. And I was like, oh, sugar. Your mom was good. And, you know, then she broke the news. She had breast cancer. And, yeah, your boy broke. I ain't know. This is before, now you're seeing the more mature, emotionally intelligent me. Me at 18, you know, young New York kid, wild out. Yeah. And I did that, you know, went out, started punching stuff. You know, natural reaction, I guess, and calmed myself down, went back in the room. My mom said, yo, go, you know, you love football, so go work out with your boys. I said, I don't want to. She's like, nah, that's what you love to do, so go work out with your homies. I said, okay. Cool. I had to break it to my boys. You know, that was Team Mom, so told them, hey, yeah, Mom's got breast cancer, G. And they was like, damn. I was like, yeah, that's all I could say too. But shoot, I think I put a 315 damn near 10 times that day. Wow. And I never did that before. I tell you, spirit is a spirit is a thing. And then 2 weeks later, my mom's gone. So I left New York in December to January to move to Virginia, to go to Virginia Union, and then
what was going through your mind as you were on that journey back to Virginia Union? Because New York is not the same after losing mom.
Man, so after I lost my mom, I didn't even cry at the funeral.
Right.
It didn't make sense.
Yes. Yeah, I've been there before. We all been.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's like, so, you know, full transparency. I was like, yo, like, whatever I thought I believed in that would take my mom's away. Clearly, I don't need to believe in that. And so I went on a path of not having any faith. Right. And I acted like it, and I carried myself like it for a long time. And I went back to Union because my dad, you know. He was like, yo, your moms ain't tell you while you was in Union because she knew you was going to come back home. Right. Because I would have found a way to go play some ball in New York and just be home with my mom. But, you know, believe it or not, when people ask me, you know, obviously I want my mom here. Right. But it's like, yo, would you want anything to be different? It's a really weird question. Because, like, yeah, you want to say, yeah, I'd rather my mom be here. I'd be like, I need to go through all this. Right. Because, you know, in a weird way, my mom would have been my crutch. And I see a lot of people like that. They got their parents in their life, and they always know they could mess up, because they know, like, all right, mom's got my back, pops got my back. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. My dad, he got my back, but he, you know, wants me to be a man.
He gonna want you to figure it out. And, you know, I always say this, that too much support is not always good.
I really had to sit and think about that. I'm like, yeah, I missed the hell out of my mom. Yes. Pray to her every day. When I went back to school, worst thing that happened to me was having a single room. I own room to myself. That broke me. Okay. I was just sitting in my thoughts every day, going to practice. I'll go lift. I'll drink like a bottle of like Devil Springs, some 200 proof, crazy, 190, just drowning. Right. Mad Dog all through the room, just drowning in sorrow, just sad, and every day just playing, just lifting and drinking, lifting and drinking.
And you know what that's called? That's called functional depression. Yeah. It's when you actually operate at an optimal level through your daily activities. Yeah. However, behind closed doors, substance use, erratic behavior, deviant behavior, and down spiral socialization.
Correct.
Yeah,
and I felt.
But you're still operating.
Yeah,
hey,
I was out there for
running
sure.
sprints. Hey, I'm here, coach.
I was always on time. I never missed. Coach, and any coach that was around me, no coach could say Jerome Huggins II was ever late to practice or didn't show up to practice. Even when I was hurt, I was there.
Right.
Because one, I ain't get a lot of football money anyway, so I ain't want to give them a reason to take it away.
Right.
And I can't let my mom passing away be the reason why I'm not successful.
Correct.
It hurt like hell though. But I was like, I cannot fail because my mom don't want me to fail. She wouldn't want me to. My dad, I tatted on my body a letter to my parents, I'm gonna make them proud. And I mean that. And I live by that every day. So going back to Union was rough. And that was, then that was 2012, going into, what was that, fall 12.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't play another year. Then I just started being a serial dater because I lost my heart. My heart was gone, soul was gone, so I'm trying to fill it with something. And I filled it with all the wrong things. And then we start transitioning to spring 13, then fall 13. Spring 13 was a semester where I really had to get my life in order.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep going on like that.
It was that backdrop. They states that trauma stays in the body and it never leaves. And what happens is that sight, sound, taste, smell, audio, and also visual, it triggers that, right?
Yeah.
So that sometimes, even right now, things can, produce that type of feeling. And you were like, hey, these are the feelings that are in the past, but you're actually moving forward towards a goal. But you started to have some type of identity base of what we need to obtain.
Yeah.
Which is not so much the goal, but actually having that process.
Right.
So we can reach the goal.
Right. And that's real. After that, I decided to, join the organization. I crossed Omega Psi Phi.
Okay.
Spring 14. So you got to think. I think I think of it like just between mom passing, all these things, losing my crib back home. I lost everything: crib, car, mom, everything.
Wow.
And then I decided to join the organization. Didn't have time to heal from that part either. To heal from all just a bunch of them. Then football was just wasn't going how I wanted to, but I always found my way back. And then surprisingly, this semester after I crossed is my first year starting. And I started every game, and all my teammates would tell you, like, I was always dependable. May not have been the best guy, from just a pure football player standpoint, but I was always where I was supposed to be. I gave everything I could give, and I never failed a conditioning test.
That's strong.
You know what I'm saying? Never failed my conditioning test. I was always one of the strongest on the team.
Yeah.
I did everything I was supposed to do. Regardless of whatever I had going on, I did everything. I was always going to my internships during the summer. I did all that stuff to set myself up. You know what I mean?
What happened? When did it click? When did the identity base, the process, the habits, when did the habits come into place to where the trauma of losing mom and then being able to, disengage yourself from the substance use and the erratic behavior, when did it actually click for the habits to say, you know what, I'm about to get back on track? And this is for the student athletes. When did it say, you know what, this is it? And it doesn't just say, I wake up every day or that one day and I'm on green. What processes did you take?
I was always like a high function, like you said, functioning through all the pain and all that. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy at all.
Yeah.
Don't do it. But I was very against talking about what was going on. But I was also given different platforms to talk about breast cancer and how it affected me, how it affected my family. And those kind of talks kind of help. As hard as it is for me to talk about myself, I don't mind putting myself out there because I know my story is relatable to a lot of people that don't like to speak on it.
Right.
So I don't mind. And I'll always put myself out there to make sure that, if anybody feels like they're unseen or their story doesn't feel real or it just feels like it's too much to talk about, like, nah, bro, I've been through it too.
Yeah.
So please, I've been in therapy strong for over a year and a half without damn near. I don't think I'm only missed maybe 1 or 2 weeks. And that's because we had to reschedule it. So I technically ain't missed. So I also please recommend, please go find someone to talk to.
You know what they say? They say real men get therapy.
They do. So cause for real, man, but that's me now. Now before then, I just worked. Yeah. I went to grad school. So me and my ex, we ended up moving up to Connecticut when I worked at ESPN, and then I got let go at ESPN after a year contract. They didn't renew it, and I didn't know what I was going to do with life again. And I was like, I got to go back to school. And I ended up going to Clark Atlanta University.
All the way from Connecticut.
Mm-hmm. Wow. It was me. I had 8 pillows, my dog, and clothes. I didn't know. I had nowhere to stay. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just did it. That's my sporadic nature at times.
Right.
I had a frat brother that I knew. I had a room. It was just me laying on the floor. I slept on the floor for almost half a year with me and my dog on pillows and a TV. I didn't know how I was going to make money.
Wow.
I started working security at the Atlanta Falcons Stadium, Mercedes-Benz, when it first opened up. It was 2017. That was my little change. And then I decided to get real deal into security to get through grad school. So I started a security business, quote unquote, started a security business. And, you know, my line brother, JT, who was also my boy, real tight, he kind of hit me to the game and showed me some stuff. And I tried to just build my thing up the right way. And it put me in position to meet a lot of different people. Doing all that while I'm trying to juggle the day-to-day life of I still ain't processed none of that stuff I went through, by the way. So we're talking about 5 years in now.
Right.
So I still ain't processed that. And I was like, okay, well, I need a stress reliever. So I started doing martial arts. I picked up an African martial art called Egbe Ogun. And I'm like, Atlanta would be the one place you'll find an African martial arts institute. And I was like, well, I love it. I trained how to work with machetes, knives, axes, all types of stuff. And it helped with my security business as well. And I was trying to train to do MMA. I was just doing all types of stuff but healing. Got through grad school, don't know how, with a 3.4. Graduated in 4 semesters. 4 semesters.
4 semesters.
Graduated in 4 semesters, and I graduated in 2019.
That's all.
And I don't know how I did it. I really don't. And I was still removed from football. This is just me just trying to figure life out.
Right.
And had a situation where, all right, I graduated, and here we go again. What am I to do? I had a nice apartment downtown and all that, and no money was coming in, so I had to dip.
Yeah.
And I, once again, had nowhere to stay, sleeping in my whip. And then I had to move down to Warren Robins, Georgia. You ever been there before?
Yes, I know where Warner Roberts.
Of course, of course you know about. I know you're right. Of course you know about Warner Robins. So I was in Warner Robins.
Shout out to Warner Roberts.
There is nothing in Warner Robins but Warner Robins. And I was like, wow. I moved in with my cousin, man. Like, she had a little room where her, she had like 4 little dogs, cute little dogs. That was their room.
Right.
But I needed somewhere to stay, so I slept in their room.
Wow.
So, they were welcoming to me. I'm like, well, shoot, I done took y'all spot. And I'm like, well, it's better than sleeping in my car. And I was also going through a little situation with a young lady I was talking to at the time.
Which is normal.
It was very normal.
Yeah.
And I self-sabotaged that situation.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't comfortable with my situation. So,
which is normal.
And I was just like, nah, I don't want to do this to you.
Right.
Then, you in Warner Robins going to the park, you walking around all by yourself. There's no sound. It's just nothing out there. And you just really in your head and you just thinking of every night, just crying. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I don't know what is going on. And I tried to get back with the girl that I broke up with. I was like, but it was out of I didn't really want to be with her. I just felt like I didn't want to go home.
Right.
I felt like I failed.
I know that feeling.
You know what I'm saying?
I know that feeling.
You know what I mean?
You can't go back home.
You can't.
You can't go back home. You made it too far.
And that pride almost took me over the edge. And I'm glad. I'll just say shout out to my homegirl Janae for saving my life. I'll say that. I'll let people draw their own conclusion. But Janae, my homegirl, my sister, I love her, and she saved my life that night. Because I gave up. That was it. I tried to go get back with the girl I wanted to be with. She wouldn't even answer the door. I was like, yeah, life is over. And the crazy part is, after a night of me going through what I went through, call it what it is, I probably shouldn't be here. I'll just let people interpret that however they want. And I ended up going to work the next day. Went to work at a security job at a bank. After almost like not being here. Not healthy, by the way, but that's what I did. And after that, I was like, yeah, I can't do this no more. And then God came through, gave me, some more work.
Right.
And I was able to stay around in the Georgia area for a little bit. I was here for like a month.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, like, this is crazy out here. There's nothing out here. I said, all right, G, you got to get out of here.
Right.
There's nothing left for you in Georgia. I actually applied for a job at Grambling to get into the sports information department. That fell through because Morgan and Grambling were my two dream jobs.
Okay.
Because I have a lot of love for those two schools due to my dad playing at Morgan and always telling me the stories about playing Grambling. So I was like, oh man, if I could work at any one of those schools, it'd be a blessing.
Definitely.
And the fact that, it didn't work out was like another like, dang, I can't catch a break. Mm-hmm. So I ended up finding my way back home to New York, staying with my dad and my sister. I got into education, and that's what really changed my life. I was a dean of students for elementary.
Right.
Kindergarten, first grade, second grade. Those are my favorites. You don't usually see people that look like me and you in education that often.
This is true.
Definitely when growing up.
This is true.
But I was blessed. I
Right.
did see it.
Yeah.
That was growing up. I always saw, young men, young black men, in education. Mm-hmm. So for me, I was like, wow, I'm that guy to them.
Mr. Carter.
You know what I'm saying? So I was always Mr. G.
You have a track hard?
Yes, yeah. I did. I did actually. I did. And I was Mr. G.
Right.
To all the babies, and I know they looked up to me. It gave me purpose, man. I wanted to help folks.
Right.
And while I was doing that, that's when I started transitioning back into loving football again, trying to get back into football. And here we are, went from D-line coach, assistant D-line coach at Canarsie High School, to D-line coach, special teams coordinator, go to the championship game. Year after that, Lincoln University, linebacker coach. And now I'm at Morgan State University. Director of player personnel.
Hold on.
Director of
we need to say that a little louder.
Director of football operations. I do a little bit of everything. And on top of that, I work with the Shrine Bowl as a national scout. I'm a draft analyst for Sports Illustrated for the FCS. A committee member for the Aeneas Williams Award, Jim Thorpe Award voter. Player personnel with the HBCU combines. I do a lot, but it came literally, I know people joke and play about the mud, but coming into this industry, the scouting and evaluating industry, coming back into football, for me to be here after really only being in football, like as a non-player for 3 years you can't make that up.
No, you can't make that up. And you know what? There's a song called It's a Shadow. And Reverend T. Jones, it's called It's a Shadow. Mm-hmm. And they stated that when you have a shadow, you still have light. Mm-hmm. Because you wouldn't have a shadow if there's no light. Right. However, there's illumination that you feel that you cannot get out of that shadow.
Right.
But the whole time, from when mom was diagnosed and the transition, you still kept moving. You never stopped. Yeah. Even the days, even when you did stop, guess what? You still was moving forward. And look at the testimony. Look at the reality of where you are now. So everything you wanted, you were raised with everything you want is on the side of hard work. So what took place is that life happened, but you never stopped moving. Someone told me this. In this game, it's for the individuals that keep moving. When life comes, life will expose you to all the elements. Medical, money, housing, education, health, broken down in 2 domains. Physical health, behavioral health. Hardships can happen in all those, which they did, and you kept moving. And look at the reality. As soon as you got in school is connected to athletics.
Yeah.
So it worked out for the better.
It did. And I, just thinking, Like, because you said that, and I'm just thinking, like, okay, like, the day my grandma passed, my favorite game I ever played versus Johnson C. Smith in 2014. She passed the day of the game. Then 2021, I lost my mom's mom. And then after that, I'm at the Celebration Bowl because that's what I said I was going to do.
That's what you said you was going to do.
Now we fast forward to 2022. I'm training my youngins, building conscious athletes back home in New York. My ex-girlfriend, she came to me, was like, you know, we pregnant. I'm like, oh, all right.
Okay.
Next day I lost my job. So what in the F am I gonna do? My hustle just started clicking, and then probably 3 months later, found out we lost a baby. And I had to go train my kids that same day. And I had to pretend I ain't feel that.
Right.
So, in mind, this is all before I started going to therapy.
Your resiliency is at an optimal level. When life happens, you know how to keep going. You do keep going. However, some of the elements of the trauma, therapy, just like for all of us, that's just the reality. I remember me meeting you last year, and I see you walking in, and I was, hey, coach, what's going on? And then me and you were able to collaborate and speak and build.
Yeah.
And I could just tell by your spirit, kindership, that hurdle, right? Yeah. So when I spoke to you, and I'm saying this now on the Gravedigger Report, I've seen something so special. And I've seen a lot of special things. And I embody the same hardships, the same vision that you had. But nonetheless, it makes sense why you're here, though.
Hey,
now we have same common players. You're coaching, you're recruiting, scouting.
Yeah.
So the HBCU, as far as you being that, to me, the number one HBCU NFL scout for HBCUs. There's not too many HBCUs players that you cannot speak on and saying, hey, at Jackson State they have Jeremiah Williams. They had Nobles that just transferred. You know, at Southern they had that nice defensive end that's coming out.
Shelby Givens.
Still at Morgan State you have Elijah.
Elijah
you know,
Carr.
and you got Pete Hunter. You got Carter. You got Byers over at Virginia Union. You also have Anderson at Virginia Union. I mean, we could keep going on and on and on and on. And it's kind of like you're the one that actually rate these individuals for NFL scouts for them to see.
I'm a mentor at heart. So like I build a rapport with like a Kenny Gallup,
Definitely.
a Neem Donkwa, Mikey Victor, Sundiata Anderson, kids like Jablonski Green Jr.
Exactly.
Like I'm like
shout out to all those players.
Right. You know what I mean? I'm like those are kids that like not only did I scout, but I got to know them as humans.
Exactly.
And
good kids.
And they're great.
They're
kids. Great humans. So I don't get paid for my scouting with the HBCU guys for the most part. I have here and there. You might get some, a little change here and there to do this, that, and the third.
Right.
But these kids need that, man. People started respecting, my evals, but it took time. I'll be honest right now, I didn't know what I was doing when I first started scouting. I came from just a coaching mindset, and a coaching mindset and a scouting mindset are two totally different mindsets.
Right.
My reports were terrible when I first started. Now I look back at them.
Right.
So a lot of kids that I first started scouting back in 2021, I apologize because I didn't know what I was doing, but I thought I was doing the right thing.
Exactly.
But now it's like, okay, now you're getting on top of the mentorship, on top of me saying like, hey, you need to work on this, that, and the third. I can really write out a report that is pretty accurate. And like people actually respect it.
Yeah.
I had a 5-minute conversation on the sideline with Roger Goodell. I could talk to Jordan Reed or Emory Hunt. Like guys like that are well respected in the game.
Steve Welch.
You know what I'm saying? My mentor, Roman Ober. I could talk to like a Zach Crockett. They just help. I always tell my youngins, I'm like, hey, be annoying with your goals and your future. I'm scared to hear, no, this ain't gonna work. But people don't understand, you know how hard it is to get film anyway, but let alone get film from our institutions sometimes? It's like, who is Gerald Huggins from DraftHBCU? Coach Wilson, he'll tell you how I got the job at Morgan. It was like, I kept seeing you. You kept popping up. You kept asking for film. It's like, all right, man, this kid's on this stuff. So, when something comes up, I let them apply and give them a fair shot to apply, and that's what happened at Morgan. Same thing happened at Lincoln. It's just like when a coach came to my school to recruit my kids, I gave them red carpet treatment. So now I want a job. It's like that's how it's worked.
Yep.
So yeah, I used to send emails every month to coaches. Every head coach or video coordinator in the CIAA, SIAC, MEAC, and the SWAC. I sent them an email saying, hey, my name is Joe Huggins. I would like to review your film so I can do this, that, and the third. Either no response for a while, maybe hearing here and there. And I was like, yo, all right, next month, send it again.
Exactly.
And next month, send it again.
Right.
And eventually, I started getting film every year. Now, I'm at the point now where I'm working with different entities, and like now I'm getting access to it. I don't have to really ask anymore.
A lot of individuals don't talk about, that process of, when you first start off, and this needs to be said, that individuals want to see you grow.
Yeah.
If you're a fan, you want to see the individual grow. We can say, hey, this is how it started. This is the process. And this is a testimony. Those 100 emails, now you have access to it.
Yep.
I remember I used to reach out when I started the Grave Digger Report. Hey, I would like to do an interview. This is what it is. And I don't get paid. And this was just to highlight this individual because I'm at a point in my life where I knew that this is what this individual needed. And that's what it is, being able to be that purpose for the next person, right?
Yep.
That servitude.
Yep. We deserve it.
Yeah, we deserve it.
We deserve it.
We deserve it.
I'm working with young men and women now in the sports space. They want the instant gratification.
Exactly.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest fan of unpaid anything. I get it. It sucks at first when you start off in sports. You look at some of the stories of some coaches, man. Dudes with GAs sleeping in the classroom or in the locker room and just finding a way to work, grind their way up. I stayed on campus at Lincoln University in a 3-bedroom house with 2 other people. And I was living on campus. I lived in my car. Now I got my own spot. I'm not a bragger, for God's sake, I promise you I'm not.
No, we know
but
that.
This is more for like, yo, son, like, I feel you. It's rough.
Right.
Please don't stop, G. Begging you. Like I tell my kids, all the kids that, they want to go to the league, it didn't work out, bro, find another way to get to the league. You ain't got to just play. Pick up that damn camera. Go write a report. Go get into something. You can get to the league. Yeah, you might not play. But if you want to get to the league, there's many ways to get to the league. There's many ways to get the dream job. If you want to be in sports, there's many ways to get into sports. But if you just have your one linear way of trying to do things, it ain't going to work. And you got to be adaptable. Life has changed for everybody in this room right now.
Right.
And the college landscape changed crazy. And even the HBCU media space changed like this. All it took was one person to really just, we already had it.
Yeah.
But it was just someone came in and just kind of like, sometimes with, some people bring certain attention. Some attention, all attention ain't good, but you know what they say, all publicity is good publicity. Hey, that's the adage. Cool.
Yeah.
And then it brought a lot of different voices into the space.
Right.
Then the HBCU media space, and now they're constantly fighting.
Right.
Trying to be better than this and trying to that's why you don't see me really engage in all that stuff.
Likewise here on the Grave Digger Report. And I know with Coach G here, and this needs to be stated, is that the reality is that the athletes, I have been put on scene. I actually reached out to certain athletes and I said, hey, you want to interview? Left me on scene. I realized that HBCU athletes need a voice. And when I go and I look at film on silent, I'm not a scout, but I watch so much film, I can tell who has this and who's great. But wanting to be on that next level, there needs to be interviews where you open up your mouth and project who you are and your progress and things like that, and from the schools, along with the scouting and things like that. And that's where the Grave Digger Report came from, right? So that's what and this is coming from an individual that had this, hardships behind, closed doors.
For sure.
To where I was like, this is where it's at. This is the story. This is what I want. Less of me. I want more of you, baby.
Respect.
For real.
No words, huh?
Like, tell them your story.
Yeah.
And I'm listening too.
Yeah.
So here we are now. director, football operations, Morgan State.
Yep.
Currently, right now, you have NFL prospects. You have All-Americans. You were able to scout NFL HBCU players as well, too, prior to this interview. Years have been. Would you have changed anything along the road?
I made one very bad player comp that I'm not going to get into detail. But I comped the HBCU player to probably the greatest defensive player to ever play football. That was not fair to the kid. It was a little too overzealous. And I'll probably take that back. But outside of that, the process was a process. I went into it with a good heart. I went into it with pure intentions. I always will give love to Malik and Tim who give me the opportunity to do it. I got we got an email from the Jim Thorpe Award to say, hey, we about to do a award for the top black college football or Division I black college football DB, the best.
That you're a part of.
And that's like, how the hell you find us?
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, wow, okay, we're doing something right. All right, well, let's do it. So I haven't missed, I'm going to Oklahoma City again next month.
Exactly.
Like, I'm never missing that. And barring anything crazy, I will never miss that banquet. It's just something that's like, wow. One, I get to meet Aeneas Williams every year, which is really cool because he's like one of the people you look up to from the HBCU space. And then it's like, two, it's like, wow, like, I did this. We did this.
Exactly.
Like the homies, like we just some youngins from up north that went to black colleges. One went to Morgan, one went to Virginia State, and I went to Virginia. You know, we came to, they brought me in and like, look at us three, traveling across the country, doing this, that, third, and we getting hot. Like our work is in a museum in Oklahoma City. Fun fact, I wrote a story on Grambling State versus Morgan State back in 1976 when they played in Japan, the first football game played in outside the Western Hemisphere.
Hey, shaking, that's amazing.
My dad played on the team versus Doug Williams. And it's in the museum in D.C. And I didn't get to see it yet. People hit me up about it, like, yo, bro, your little story you was
definitely
telling
got to check that out.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
definitely got to check that out.
So like all that to say, it's just like, you know, sometimes I got to really sit back. I have my days, you know, definitely when, you know, high stress days. And I'm just like, man, what am I doing? I'm just like, you know, like, bro, you ain't doing too bad.
No, you're not at all.
You know what I mean? You
just,
you know, chill. I'll give myself a few minutes, soak, but then we back at it. You know what I mean? And I know it's rough. Please keep fighting your fight. Whatever your fight may be, your fight probably different than mine, but it also may have some similarities. So whatever I said today that may be able to help a player, a coach, shoot, man, he could be the water girl. Who knows? That's just trying to be a GM one day.
Right.
Screw it. Like, find some inspiration. Find something that's going to make you want to wake up and get out your bed every day.